The BYD Seagull is coming to Australia with only one battery, the larger battery of the two, which is great because it's the only one that has proper AC cooled batteries in it. So it's the only one that anyone should really buy. I'll let you know exactly what they said later to me in person about when it's arriving. So BYD has filed a trademark for the name Dolphin Mini in Australia, which is the export name for the BYD Seagull. This filing suggests that BYD is preparing promotional material and official badging and things like that for the model. And I also recently spoke to a few people from BYD about it and the battery and the price to see what I could find out, basically, as I always do. Based on the fact that we know it's coming, they've said it's coming, so when is it coming, how much is it, what are the specs? And I've also spoken with them in email and it all matches up. So now we can say with some certainty the dates and the battery and its name in Australia. So I was also filming in a dealership for a few hours a couple of days ago, and I was having a good chat with two separate salespeople about the BYD Seagull, and they said exactly the same things. Well, almost exactly the same things. BYD are only bringing the big battery to Australia, so that bit's confirmed. No small one is coming because it doesn't have proper cooling on it, and Australians expect more in terms of range, apparently, and longevity. The staff recently also went to China, and they found out the next cars that are coming to Australia and roughly when. But they seem to know about the Seagull quite specifically, but the other ones there's a sort of timeline that they didn't go into with me. The range is good, especially for Australia. Maybe not for going long, like huge trips down the coast, but basically for everything else, really, really good. You'll get realistically around 300 kilometers of range, 290, 330, something like that. Commonly people are getting 290, 300, 310, something like that. Maybe a bit more if you're careful with your speed and things like that. If you're really desperate and you go 80 or 90 on a motorway, that sort of thing, if you're really desperate to get the last 50 kilometers and you're having issues, I reckon you could push that up a little bit without being too wild. And they are only coming with the larger motor of the two motors. So it's the 75 kilowatt motor or 100 horsepower, basically, rather than the 55 kilowatt motor. So it's not going to be painfully slow, it's just going to be slow. And or in the modern world with electric cars, very, very slow, painfully slow, to be fair. But 10, 15 years ago, 100 horsepower was actually kind of sufficient, I think. And it will feel quicker, I think, because of the torque. It should feel a little bit, maybe a little bit nippy, but not quick, really. So it will be efficient. They are efficient. They're getting 11.5 to 13.5, something like that, kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And I saw a video the other day, for example, somebody was getting 11.7 per 100 kilometers, making it around 300, 330 per charge if you want to charge it full, empty it. So BYD actually sold 55,000 roughly in a month, a full month recently. And they're selling lots of them. And it's not expensive, so of course, why wouldn't they? The usable capacity is about 37 kilowatt hours, allowing for a buffer of about 1.8 kilowatt hours, or about 4.6% roughly of the battery. A little bit on the bottom, a little bit on the top. And they do that for longevity, basically, if you don't know why they would do that. And when you compare it to the Dolphin, so the Seagull compared to the Dolphin, the value proposition, completely different, way different. And if all you want is a cheap car to go down the road to work and back again, most people, like a daily runaround car, or to go and see family or friends or go to squash or tennis or something, the BYD Seagull does exactly that, with a good range, well built from a good company with proper thermal management system on it, where it will actually cool the batteries if they get a bit too hot, using actual air conditioning, which is basically the thing that seems to be missing on most of the properly affordable cheap EVs. For example, the Dacia Spring, they just stick a battery on it, plug almost effectively a black lead and a red lead, off you go, there's your power, but the battery will sit there cooking for the first so many years until they decide that it's not good enough, the owners. So that's not what we want. Nobody seems to think that that's a good thing, not even on cheap cars. I mean, if the Seagull is coming to Australia for $30,000, you would want the battery to last more than 3, 4, 5 years before you decide the range as, 80%, 70%, because to be honest, you don't have that much range in the first place to lose 20%, because you wouldn't want to do that because it's not monstrously big in the first place. It's comfortably good, and you want to preserve that as much as you can, I think. The price, way less, basically, than the Dolphin, and that is why I say the proposition of value is way different. It's not fancy. The range is noticeably less. It's 300, not 400 kilometers. But the price is way lower. That's what it reflects that. And I think that's where the Seagull, or Dolphin Mini, as I should say, really finds its audience, because it's not trying to impress anybody with flashy specs, and people might not care so much if they dent it. It doesn't have really many luxury features, but it does have a nice screen on it, and the screen in the middle, brilliant. And it's focused on being genuinely affordable, genuinely practical, and really simple to own, and really cheap. The only thing I can see really that's an issue is that bright yellow color. If they get rid of that and make it normal color, they might sell more. To be fair, like a black one, they look great in black or white. Although I'm not so fussy with colors, honestly. That alone, I think, though, about the fact that it's made to be genuinely practical and simple to own, that makes it one of the most important EVs that we're going to see in the next 2 or 3 years in Australia. There is frankly nothing else in the next year or two that's coming out that is as important as this. And it's the only car that I've really known ever, actually, that has had this response to it in the comments. And I've had emails, I've had people sending me links and videos and questions all over, like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, email. And people seem to be really excited about buying an electric car that just isn't for middle-class people or posh people. It's just a standard car that we can all enjoy, frankly, which I kind of thought I thought a little bit 10 years ago that was kind of what the Prius was, because the Prius was great. Ben had a Prius, and I kind of thought anybody can have a Prius, and nobody really judges you based on class or anything like that. It's a Prius. That's kind of what I thought 10 years ago. If I'm wrong, let me know, but that's what I thought. It's also worth pointing out that BYD is still relatively new in the Australian market, but they are growing really rapidly, like really, really rapidly. The Atto 3, the Dolphin, the Seal have already sold massive numbers, and the Seagull is going to lower the entry barrier significantly. So I think that's why this car is so important. It could easily become the most affordable new EV in Australia and then stay there for 2 years, 3 years. And, it's obviously cheaper than an MG4, GWM, or basically everything on the market. I mean, unless you start going to micro silly cars, or cars that are not proper cars with proper cooling and a real range. So great, it's really great. And while we're waiting on the final local pricing, because we don't know it yet, I think the magic number is obviously going to be somewhere around 29,000, probably 29,990, as they've done with the Dolphin. They would say like 29,990 for the Dolphin. At Seagull, for example, maybe 30, maybe 31. But I think they're going to try and keep it under 30, I think. Drive away. It's a well-built car. It's got a blade battery. Not long after this as well, they're going to come out with the Gen 2 blade battery once they put that into the posher cars, basically the Seal and the Sea Lion 7, Sea Lion 6, things like that. It has air conditioning on the batteries, real range. It's nice. It's got good cameras, decent infotainment, enough range as well, obviously, to suit most people's lives. This is a very big deal, this car. And it's also important to note that, like other BYD models, the Seagull will likely come with their standard 6-year to 8-year battery warranty, which gives it an actual solid edge over some competitors in the long run, in my opinion. The only downside I can see with this car is, it's not a Dolphin, so it's not as posh, it's not as swanky inside. You probably won't, although I think you theoretically could, you probably won't drive from Brisbane to Sydney or to Adelaide or South Australia, I presume. But if anybody does, I'd be really impressed, because it would be a bit of a stressful trip, I think, at this point. But I think it's doable. I definitely think it's doable, especially if you go slow. And it was confirmed over email and also in person a couple of days ago by 2 employees in BYD. It is arriving in Australia in 3 months to 6 months from now, which is bang on what I got told recently a while ago, and I kind of went in to do some filming and confirm that again and ask multiple people. Obviously, I do a lot of work to get to the bottom of things. So the bottom line is the Seagull is not just coming, it's coming, but only in the best spec that they can give it to you in. And it's a serious contender for the most affordable real EV in the country. And it's not just some stripped down compromise car or a compliance car or anything like that. It's a smart, efficient car by BYD. And it might just redefine what a lot of people think of as an entry-level, cheap electric vehicle. Because as it is now, they're still $45,000, and I think they could do that a bit cheaper and have a really basic car, you know. So let me know in the comments, is this the EV that you've been waiting for? Do you think that it could be your next car? What are the downsides to the BYD Seagull? Is the range enough for you? What price would make it irresistible to you? All of you can answer that, because I think that's a really good question. What is the irresistible price? What price would you pay? Because I think under 30, it's done. Everyone's going to go buy one. My name is Ben Alexander. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate your time. I definitely don't take that for granted. And yep, you're very welcome to leave your comments in the comment section below. Everybody will see those comments. Loads of people reply before I reply, but I will always also be waiting to reply. So you're very welcome to. Any questions, just email me as well. You're very welcome to do that. And feel free to subscribe.